ahead and read.
But if she bear a maid child, then she shall be unclean 2 weeks, as in her separation, and she shall continue in the blood of her purifying 66 days. And when the days of her purifying are fulfilled for a son or for a daughter, she shall bring a lamb of the first year for a burnt offering, and a young pigeon or a turtle dove for a sin offering, unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, unto the priest, who shall offer it before the Lord, and make an atonement for her, and she shall be cleansed from the issue of her blood. This is the law for her that hath borne a male or a female.
Go ahead.
And if she be not able to bring a lamb, then she shall bring two turtles or 2 young pigeons, and one for a burnt offering, and the other for a sin offering. And the priest shall make an atonement for her, and she shall be clean.
Now, this is what had to be done. And all this had to be done as long as the old covenant was in force. When the woman had a child, the circumcision didn't change. That didn't end. We're going to show you that. That did not end. But then you had to go through the woman. They had to go through all of these rituals here. Had to bring up the offering and all of that. Had to bring the lamb, and then didn't have a lamb. Had to bring the 2 turtle doves or the 2 pigeons and all of that. All that had to be done. You understand what I'm saying? That was the law. Let's go now to Joshua chapter 5, and we'll pick it up at verse 2. Now, we're going to start reading at verse 2. Joshua 5 and verse 2. 5 and 2.
Hold on, brother.
5 and 2.
All right.
Okay. Go ahead and read.
At that time the Lord said unto Joshua, Make these sharp knives, and circumcise again the children of Israel the second time.
So now he said, because these are dealing with the ones that was born after they had come out of Egypt. Because Israel walked around in the wilderness 40 years. So now, these are, all Israel, all the while they was in Egypt, they were still circumcising their children. Go ahead and read on. It'll tell you. Go ahead and read.
And Joshua made him sharp knives, and circumcised the children of Israel at the heel of the foreskins.
Go ahead and read.
And this is the cause why Joshua did circumcise.
Now he's saying this is the reason why Joshua did circumcise. So now again the Lord telling, Moses is dead now. So now the Lord is telling Joshua, circumcise the children of Israel a second time. This is God telling Joshua to do this. Joshua is not deciding to do this. God is telling Joshua. So now, and this is the cause whereby he told him to do that. Go ahead and read.
All the people that came out of Egypt that were males, even all the men of war, died in the wilderness by the way, after they came out of Egypt. Now all the people that came out were circumcised.
See, all of them that came out, they had been circumcised. So that lets you know while Israel was down there in Egypt, they were still circumcising their children. They didn't get away from that. Go ahead and read on.
But all the people that were born in the wilderness by the way, as they came forth out of Egypt, they had not been, they had not circumcised.
See, you had, so you had the one that was born there in the wilderness. Because Israel walked around in the wilderness 40 years. Now, they had not been circumcised. So the Lord told Joshua, make you some sharp knives and circumcise them. Go ahead and read on.
For the children of Israel walked 40 years in the wilderness, till all the people that were men of war which came out of Egypt were consumed.
Go ahead.
Because they obeyed not the voice of the Lord, unto whom the Lord sware that he would not show them the land which the Lord sware unto their fathers that he would give us.
Now, they were circumcising them, but you see they weren't keeping no law, though. You understand what I'm saying? But they did circumcise them anyway. That was only part of what they were supposed to do. It was supposed to have been the circumcision and the keeping of the law. Because one without the other really is vain. And we're going to find out it didn't change once you got over in the New Testament either. Go ahead and read on.
Into verse 6.
Go ahead and read.
A land that floweth with milk and honey. And their children, whom he raised up in their stead, them Joshua circumcised. For they were uncircumcised, because they had not circumcised them by the way.
Go ahead and read.
And it came to pass, when they had done circumcising all the people, that they abode in their places in the camp till they were whole.
Now, so now after Israel came out of Egypt, we found out they were still circumcised them in Egypt. But then after they came out, Then all of them that walked around that was born during those 40 years when they walked around in the wilderness, they had not been circumcised. And God told Joshua, go and circumcise them a second time. Because they got to be circumcised. You understand what I'm saying? That did not change. Let's go now to Exodus chapter 4. And we're going to pick it up at 24. Exodus 4 and 20. I'm sure God's serious about this circumcision thing. Whatever you think about it don't matter. God is serious about it.
Yes, sir.
Because I'm going to show you this circumcision, it really means something. That covenant that God made with Abraham and with his seed and even with the stranger too. If you don't obey that covenant, you ain't getting in the kingdom. Once you understand the covenant, you're going to either keep the covenant or you ain't getting in the kingdom. Ain't but one other place for you to be. Lord told you if they don't be circumcised, they shall be cut off from his people. Didn't he say that?
Yes,
that should have told you something right there. You understand what I'm saying? It ain't rocket science if God say God say you will be cut off from his people. That's what God said. Now, whatever argument you come up with, what Paul said or Peter said, it ain't no argument.
Yes, sir.
God said you will be cut off. I'm going to go with what God said, because I know Peter and Paul, all them are men.
That's right, brother. Yes, sir.
They ain't got no kingdom to put you in. And they ain't got no fire to put you in either. If God says circumcise or cut off, it's circumcised or cut off. Now, let's go to Exodus chapter 4. And we're going to pick it up at verse 24. Now, here Moses here. Moses said, you know, when I deal with the prophets, he said, I deal with them in a vision. But he said, my servant Moses, I deal with him face to face.
Yes,
that is what he thought of Moses.
Yes,
but I'm going to show you,
sir.
he's getting ready to kill Moses. He's going to kill him because he didn't circumcise his boy. Now, if he's going to kill Moses, what you think he's going to do to you?
Yes, sir.
We don't even come close to ranking with Moses.
No, sir.
Start reading at Exodus 4 and pick it up at verse 24. Exodus 4 and 24. Go ahead and read.
And it came to pass by the way in the end that the Lord met him and sought to kill him.
Now this is Moses he's talking about. It came to pass in the way that the Lord met Moses and he sought to kill him. Go ahead and read on.
Then Zipporah took a sharp stone and cut off the foreskin of her son and cast it at his feet.
Now, this Zipporah, that was Moses' wife. She took a sharp stone and cut off the foreskin of her son and cast it down at Moses' foot. Go ahead and read.
And said, surely a bloody husband art thou to me.
Go ahead and read.
So he let him go. Then she said,
so he let him go. And then she said, go ahead and read on.
a bloody husband thou art because of the circumcision.
Bloody husband thou art because of the circumcision. You ain't circumcised this boy. The Lord sought to kill him. That's what he was going to do with Moses. Think about it. Now, let's go to Luke chapter 2, and we'll pick it up at verse 21. Now, when Jesus came in the flesh, they were still under the old covenant. You remember what had to be done under the old covenant. You had to be circumcised the 8th day. Then the woman had to go, after her days of cleansing and all that, she had to go and make up the offering and all of that stuff. And that had to be done because that was the law that God gave unto the people. So it had to be done. Let's start reading here at Luke chapter 2. And we'll begin reading at verse 21. Luke 2, and we'll pick it up at verse 21. 2 and 21. Go ahead and read.
And when 8 days were accomplished for the circumcising of the child, his name was called Jesus.
Now, and you can even go back in Luke 1 and find out where they circumcised John the Baptist too. So now, and when the 8th day was come, and then it was time for the circumcision of the child, they called his name Jesus. Go ahead and read.
Which was so named of the angel before he was conceived in the womb.
Go ahead and read.
And when the days of her purification according to the law of Moses were accomplished.
Well, and when the days of her purification according to, what did it say here? According to the law of Moses. But whose law was it?
Jesus, God's law.
The Lord spake unto Moses and told Moses to tell the people, circumcise the child, and then the woman after the days of her cleansing, then go and offer up the offering. So they call it the law of Moses because God gave it to Moses for Moses to give to the people, but it was not Moses' law. But it was called the law of Moses. You understand? Go ahead and read.
End of 22.
Go ahead.
They brought him to Jerusalem to present him to the Lord. As it is written in the law of the Lord.
Go ahead.
Every male that openeth the womb shall be called holy to the Lord. And to offer a sacrifice according to that which is said in the law of the Lord.
See what's the, and now they got it right. And to offer a sacrifice according to that which is said of the Lord. Go ahead and read on.
A pair of turtle doves or 2 young pigeons.
So that's what the law said, wasn't it?
Yes, sir.
So now then you had the circumcising. Then after the cleansing of the woman, then she had to offer the law. You had 2 things working. You had the circumcising and the offering that followed after the cleansing. Now, just so everybody will understand, it is a foregone conclusion that Israel had to circumcise their children. That is a foregone conclusion.
Sir.
And it really should be a foregone conclusion too, that the stranger had to serve,
yes, sir. Yes,
circumcise theirs as well. But nevertheless, the issue came up. Now this is where the controversy started right here. The controversy was never over whether or not Israel had to be circumcised. The controversy came up over whether or not the Gentiles had to be circumcised. That's where the controversy came about. And we're going to deal with it. Let's go to Acts chapter 15, and we're going to begin reading at verse 1. Acts 15, and we're going to pick it up at verse 1. 15 and 1. 15 and 1. And this thing, people done kind of read a little something into this too that ain't in there. I'm gonna show you that. Because everybody is looking to get around circumcision. So now the controversy was over the Gentile. It was not over Israel. It was over the Gentile. But now you have people nowadays, they made the controversy be over circumcision, period. You understand what I'm saying? Because they have come here and they have read this 15th chapter of Acts. And they have misread it. There's some things they didn't pay real close attention to. But we're going to pay real close attention to it today. Let's start reading at Acts 15, and we'll begin reading at verse 1. 15 and 1. Go ahead and read.
And certain men which came down from Judea taught the brethren and said, Except ye be circumcised after the manner of Moses, ye cannot be saved.
Now he said, except you be, this is what they taught the people. They was talking to Gentiles here, and they was telling them, except you be circumcised after the manner of Moses, ye cannot be saved, which I agree. Go ahead and read on.
When therefore Paul and Barnabas had no small dissension and disputation with them, they determined that Paul and Barnabas and certain other of them should go up to Jerusalem unto the apostles and elders about this question. And being brought on their way by the church, they passed through Phoenicia and Samaria, declaring the conversion of the Gentiles, and they caused great joy unto all the brethren.
Go ahead.
And when they were come to Jerusalem, they were received of the church and of the apostles and elders, and they declared all things that God had done with them.
You know, they rejoiced, and they've gone down there, they preached to the Gentile, and a lot of the Gentiles they had converted, so they went back rejoicing, telling the elders and all those apostles that was there at Jerusalem how great things God had worked by their hand. Go ahead and read on, though.
But there rose up certain of the sect of the Pharisees which believed, saying.
Now he said there rose up certain of the sect of the Pharisees, but he said they believed.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So there was some that believed, but I'm going to show you they was still kind of holding on to some of that old stuff, though. Because, you know, all the stuff was good about the going, doing the offering and all of that stuff after the cleansing of the woman. All that was still good when Jesus came on the scene. But after Jesus died, that wasn't good anymore. You know, he nailed all that animal killing to the cross. But now these believe. Go ahead, and you know, and they spoke to the people saying, go ahead and read on.
Middle of verse 5.
Go ahead.
That it was needful to circumcise them and to command them to keep the law of Moses.
Well, he said it was needful to circumcise them. And it said to keep the law of Moses. So now, nobody paying attention here, but they brought in another thing here. They didn't say it was needful just to circumcise them, but to keep the law of Moses as well. So you got two things working here. You got the circumcision working here, and you got the keeping of the law.